Let me tell you about the summer the clouds stopped coming. The kind of heat that bakes thoughts right out of your skull. Ground split open like cracked skin, wind tasting of dust and old ash. Jonah used to joke that Kansas had two moods, mud and drought. But this wasn't weather. It was judgment. The buffaloes stood in the shade like statues. The wheat green 3 weeks ago had gone brittle gold. And out in the shimmering air walked Sera, hat borrowed from Jonah, sleeves rolled to hide the faint silver of her veins, a shovel over one shoulder, and worry in her eyes. She said quietly, "The land is forgetting again." Jonah spat into the dust. "Then we better remind it. If rain didn't come within 10 days, everything they'd built, every debt they'd paid off, every seed of trust, would burn back to nothing. The new soil systems Sera had taught them needed moisture to live. Without it, microbes die, memory dies, yield dies, and if the fields failed now, county inspectors would come with drones and clipboards declaring the land unsustainable. That word was code for sale. For Sera, the risk was worse. Her body was built for cooler atmospheres. The same heat that baked the wheat could boil her internal circuits, whatever those looked like inside her. She could save the farm only by stepping into the sun that might kill her. Dawn came up red. Birds stopped singing halfway through their first notes. Jonah switched off the irrigation system after checking the gauge. 0 pressure. Wells had dropped below pump depth. Sera walked the rows, touching the soil. "Moisture memory has degraded," she murmured. "The land dreams of water but cannot wake." Jonah fetched a tin of seed from the barn, the heritage strain she'd helped him save. He poured some into her palm. The kernels were light, too light. She closed her hand and whispered, "We can call the rain." Jonah laughed dryly. "Unless you got a number for it." "I have frequencies," she said. "Songs that ask clouds to gather." He didn't understand, but he'd seen her do stranger things. "All right, sing to the sky," he said. That night she set metal rods in the soil, each one humming at a tone too low for human ears. The air thickened with static, smelled faintly of ozone and pine resin, though there were no pines for miles. By the third day, nothing changed. The rods still hummed. The sky stayed blank. Jonah caught her standing in the field at noon, shoulders shaking from heat. "Get back inside," he said. She looked at her hands, skin flushed, not glowing but fevered. "I miscalculated the intensity." He grabbed her wrist gently. "That's enough." She pulled free, not angry, determined. "The system needs my resonance. Without constant tuning, the signal breaks." He stared at her, sweat streaking his neck. "You're talking about frying yourself for dirt." She smiled weakly. "For life." That evening, he dragged the windmill blades around to face the hot wind and rigged cables from the generator to her rods, hoping extra power might ease her load. When the first spark jumped, the rods lit like dull steel candles, but clouds didn't gather. Instead, a drone did. Corporate, not county, painted white with red trim. It scanned the field, clicked twice, and sped off toward the horizon. Jonah watched until it vanished. "They're sniffing again," he said. Sera simply whispered, "We must finish before they return." On the 7th day, the air tasted like copper. Sera knelt at the field's center, the rods surrounding her in a slow spin, low hum rising to a harmonic buzz. Her hair clung to her temples, eyes half closed in concentration. Jonah stood with a bucket of water, the last from the tank, and splashed a little on her shoulders to keep her cool. Steam rose instantly. "You're cooking yourself," he muttered. She didn't answer. She was somewhere between prayer and science, coaxing molecules to remember how to be rain. Above, the sky trembled, not clouds, but heat waves folding on themselves. A faint vibration rolled through the ground like thunder without sound. Then came the first smell of wet earth that wasn't there yet. Jonah looked up. "Sera, it's working." Her voice came faint. "Not enough. I need to link the well system. Through me." "Through you?" She nodded. "The field listens to me. It will not hear the pump," he swore. "You'll fry," she smiled, small and sad. "Then I will fry with purpose." He slammed his hat down, knelt, and said, "If you're going down there, I'm going with you. They connected the generator's ground wire through the old well housing. When she touched it, a surge of blue static spidered through the pipes, into the rods, into the air, and then lightning without a storm. A crack of pure sound that dropped both of them to their knees. Silence, then a hiss. A single drop hit Jonah's wrist, cool, real. Then another. Sera collapsed sideways, breath shallow. The rods flickered, then fell still. The sky broke open. Not a deluge, just steady, honest rain. Jonah scooped her up, carried her to the porch as the world darkened with water. The buffalo bellowed with joy, rolling in mud. The fields hissed like they'd been waiting centuries. Sera's pulse fluttered, faint but present. Her eyes opened halfway. "It remembers," she whispered. Jonah set her in a chair, rain dripping from his hat. "Yeah, it remembers. You did it." She shook her head weakly. "We did." By morning, the tanks were half full again. The soil black and rich. But across the horizon, new lights blinked, corporate drones returning, now dozens of them. Rain drew attention. Jonah tightened his jaw. Guess miracles show up on radar. They came at noon, sleek ships, low and humming, scanning. A loudspeaker voice. "Unauthorized atmospheric manipulation detected. Cease activity." Jonah stepped forward, mud up to his ankles, hands on his hips. "Activity's over. You're welcome for the rain." The ships ignored him, beams mapping the field. Sera, pale but standing, leaned on the porch rail. "If they take the rods," she said, "they take the memory. The land will forget again." Jonah's mind raced. Then he saw the old windmill, still wired into her network. He flipped the manual override. The blades turned, sending a counterpulse through the rods. The readings scrambled. The drones wavered, confused, and one by one lifted higher, losing lock. After 5 minutes, they vanished into the bright sky. Sera exhaled. "You corrupted the data." He grinned. "Nah, just told it the same thing you did. This place belongs to itself." That evening, rain kept falling in gentle sheets. Jonah sat on the porch rail beside her. "So what now?" She looked out across the wet fields, the buffalo grazing calm. "Now," she said, "the land remembers how to heal. And we remember why." They watched the sunset through mist, two silhouettes against a horizon that finally forgave them. And when the last light touched the red ribbon on the buffalo gate, it shone bright enough to look almost alive. So that's how the drought ended. Not with a machine, not with a miracle, but with a woman who refused to stop caring and a man who finally understood what faith looked like in dirt and rain. Maybe the sky doesn't forget us after all. Maybe it just waits for us to sing first.